Some people talk about play as if it were a relief from serious learning or even worse, a waste of time. But for children, play is exceedingly serious and important. In fact, play is a way for children to learn who they are and how the world works, solve problems, and to express feelings. Yes, play is the real work of childhood, and for young people today, many children's museums offer play experiences that other settings are not able to give them. Fred Rogers. The Children's Museum. Learn, connect, and grow. Hello, my name is Matthew Sikovic, and today I'm here to talk to you about children's museums, but not just any children's museum, the Crosse Community Children's Museum. Children's museums are cultural institutions committed to serving the needs and interests of children by providing exhibits and programs that stimulate curiosity and, above all, motivate learning. There are over 300 children's museums around the world. For those of you that are from the Milwaukee area, such as myself, you might have heard of the Betty Brinn Children's Museum. I spent a lot of time there as a child, so that's why this children's museum has such a connection to me. It meant a lot to me as a kid going there with my grandma and everything. So, do a lot of work with this one here, and they do a lot of good stuff. The mission of the Children's Museum of La Crosse is, and I quote, "to help the young and the young at heart learn, connect, and grow through interactive play. Our vision is to be dynamic, interactive, and have resources for families, community organizations, and visitors." So it's much more than just an opportunity for children to go and play and to be free. It's meant to get the whole family involved, the whole community involved. As you can see, it says the young at heart. There are opportunities for anybody of any age to learn. Although the area, or at least the targeted demographic for children at the museum is from ages 1 to 10, of which they have a variety of options for people to do there. But even beyond play, the Children's Museum helps children to develop certain essential foundational skills, whether it's reading or writing or just simply communicating with other children that are there or with adults. The Children's Museum has exhibits that try to foster those skills and developing those skills. One thing that I love from their website, and I'll read it for you all, it says, "When a baby touches, looks, and listens, she's learning. A toddler stacking blocks or splashing water is learning. Playing make-believe is how a preschooler learns about the grown-up world. Play school-age kids learn and practice math, reading, and other skills while they play." So they are very direct on their website, even with the things that they're trying to accomplish with all the kids. It's really wonderful. Additionally, they have 5 key messages and kind of core values that they try to wear on their sleeve, and I think it goes not just with the staff and with volunteers, but with everybody. And they are celebrate play every day, make meaningful memories, be active, dream big, and do your best always, as well as share. Which, of course, sharing is caring, I guess, for the last one. When you're dealing with a bunch of younger kids, it's a tough skill to learn. But I think every other core value has a lot of sustainability. It's lessons that you can take with you throughout your whole life, not just as a kid, and I think that's truly wonderful. The history from 1999 to now. So the La Crosse Children's Museum, which is coming up on its 20th birthday, which is miraculous, was actually started, the process started basically back in 1994 when the executive director, Ann Snow, moved up with her 2 daughters from New Orleans to Wisconsin in the middle of December. That's a cold change, so looking for things to do, not getting used to the cold yet. She missed the old Children's Museum that existed back in New Orleans that she used to take her daughters to a lot. So she began to gather information, recruit volunteers, and start low-level initial fundraising for something similar. Maybe not the same thing, but something similar. Almost right away, the Charles and Marjorie Collins family gave the museum a home, which is incredible. Donated the building that's located at 207 Fifth Avenue Street, downtown La Crosse. They had access to that building almost right away. And then in 1997, they began a $2.6 million capital campaign to prepare the building and create exhibits. So they had the building, but they needed the stuff to fill it. And almost right away after starting that campaign, Gertrude Salzer Gordon, who was a big philanthropist in the area at the time, donated $1 million as a leading gift to get that started. And then over the course of time, other people donated, 100 here, a bit there, and they were able to reach that capital campaign, which is amazing. So they've been officially open since February 28th of 1999. So they just celebrated their 20th birthday a few months ago. And now they welcome up to 70,000 plus per year as far as admissions from a 75-mile radius, so all around the La Crosse area, not just within La Crosse. And they actually provide this service to over 1 million people a year, let alone the other wonderful things that they do. Those other wonderful things that they do, they offer services other than just the museum and the exhibits and everything like that. They put on a lot of holiday and seasonal events, extra events both at the facility and within the area. Weekly preschool programs, so after school things, Boy and Girl Scout overnights and badge workshops, health and fitness initiatives, which I think is awesome. Summer day camps, which is great for the parents who can't, be there in the summer when kids aren't at school. Music, dance, magic, and other performances, so a little bit of entertainment. And then they also do a lot of partnerships with many local human services, health and educational organizations. So they've really developed since day one into an all-encompassing service for the community, which is pretty wonderful. So how does it all work, you may ask? Previously, I had mentioned that the Children's Museum got its start from some large donations and contributions from the community. Although that still holds true today, much like most nonprofits do, 70% of their operating budget actually comes from the admissions and fees that they charge. So because it's a museum, much like any other museum, you have to pay an entry admission fee. It is something like $7, and then for the adults it's $10. And then they also offer different services, as I had mentioned before. So they get money in from those services, whether it be through the classes or the overnight events that they do or the events for adults. But they also will gain money from their store that they have on site. It's actually really neat. It's almost like a prize shop, and they have stuffed animals and fun little things for kids to play with that are safe and kind of educational. So that's how they get most of their funding. And then the other 30% is generated from those donations and grants and the other special events that I mentioned. As far as staffing goes, it's actually a pretty tight ship over at the Children's Museum, which would make sense as they've been around for a while now. They have an administrative staff featuring Ann Snow, the executive director, who was also the creator of this chapter of Children's Museums, Lean Pollinger, who is the marketing developing director, Hannah Seek, the exhibit and group coordinator, Jenny Newstead, the visitor services coordinator, who I've worked with numerous times. She handles a lot of the volunteering. Jacqueline Freeberg, who's a program coordinator, and then Dennis Coughlin, who's the facility manager. They're all wonderful people, and they work directly with the board members, who are at President Sean O'Flaherty, Secretary Cindy Terud, two active members of Judy Boffler and Emeritus, and another one, by active members I mean voting members, and Mike Hudson, and then treasurer at Joe Haas, and then there's 12 other additional sitting members on that council. And then their volunteer numbers obviously will vary depending on the special event or the day, so that it kind of differs. So for Easter they may have 20 to 30 people show up, and then on a typical weekend it might be a group of just 5. It really just depends on the event. But then there are also volunteers needed for general cleaning and exhibit maintenance, birthday parties, wacky weekend weekenders, which are like those weekend specific volunteering events, and then other time and talent options. So coming in and teaching music or art or anything like that is usually the volunteering that they see. So if you are interested in volunteering, which I hope you all should be because it's an awesome experience and you get to learn and partake in everything else they have going on there, you should definitely contact Jenny Newstead, the woman I mentioned before. She's absolutely wonderful. She can be reached at 608-784-2652, or at her email, which is on the website, so you should definitely check that out. Otherwise, you can also get signed up through You Get Connected, or you can go in and print out and fill out an application form or anything like that. I highly recommend it for group activities, for student org activities, just for any sort of service hours, or to, for me, I used it to kind of get better at working with kids because it wasn't something I was good at, and now I think I am. So there's another benefit for it. Challenges for the future. So what are the biggest obstacles and challenges facing the organization today? Well, much like any other nonprofit, funding and financing are huge. Just keeping a steady stream of grants and donations, making sure that they will have people constantly coming in. Obviously, their admissions and their fees is their way that they get their most money, so they have to remain relevant and remain competitive because there are other things out there. Which leads to their second obstacle, competition, whether it's dealing with other organizations like the Y, or even with local schools or sports programs, anything. There's other competitive substitutes, I guess you would say, for the Children's Museum, which they have to deal with, although I think what they offer is unique and impressive in its own self. Staffing and volunteers, making sure that they constantly have new volunteers coming through to offer new and improved programs, so that they can have a little variety, not just the same faces over and over again. And it allows them to just do more instead of working with just the staff members that they have. The visitor experience is another thing, making sure that the experience is a good experience for any of the kids coming through, that they aren't being bullied or bad behavior isn't spreading or anything like that. Keeping the facility upkeep, so infrastructure, the exhibits, making sure that's all good to go and safe for the children and living up to their mission and all of that good stuff. Communicating the value of the museum, which I think goes with competition, making sure people understand what they're trying to do and why it's important that they should use the facilities and utilize them as a resource. And then also just leadership and resources in general, making sure that they have a solid board that is looking out for the best interests of the Children's Museum. So I know that those of you watching, or whoever is watching my video, are able to do at least one thing, and that's volunteer at the Children's Museum. You can help them with that obstacle. It's really easy. I had mentioned before, contacting Jenny Newstad is the way to do it, or you can just visit their website. It is incredibly informative, and I highly recommend that you do it, because you're going to learn a lot about yourself volunteering there, and you're going to learn about the wonderful and amazing things that the Children's Museum does for the La Crosse area. So I highly recommend it, and hope that you learned a lot from this video. Thank you very much, and have a good rest of your day.